The tribe has spoken, and you didn't even survive one tribal council. Ouch. I have this fear if I ever get to play that this will happen to me too. Just imagine it yourself. You're playing Survivor and you just don't want to be the first one booted out. If that happens, people don't think highly of you, you are quickly forgotten by most of the fandom, and unless something crazy happens, you're not going to be asked back for a returnee season unless they do some sort of weird all first boot season. And if you go out in public, I'm pretty sure you get stoned. Okay, I added the last one, but you get the idea. Today, I want to look at how to not get voted off first in Survivor, and I'm going to take a look back at the 10 most recent first boots of Survivor and see if there are any do's and don'ts that we can learn from their mistakes. By the way, thank you for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Did you know I made this back in July of 2022? Well, for only a few bucks a month on Patreon, you can watch all of my videos months early like this one. You also get to pick what I make and get exclusive videos. So come on over to Patreon to support Once Upon an Island and get to have a say in what I do. Thank you for your support. Starting with season 33, Millennials vs Gen X, we have Rachel, our first boot of the season. And heads up, I'm not gonna be spoiling who the winners of these seasons are, but I may occasionally spoil the second or even third boot of the season, just be forewarned. Now hopefully with this experiment we could see some common threads as to what gets someone voted out first, because you only have like 2 or 3 days to connect with others and make them value you. So of all the first boots in this video, Rachel's is by far the clearest story for why she goes, in my opinion, which makes for a great way to start off this analysis, because not long after landing on the Gen X beach while building their shelter, she is already annoying people. It's day 1 and she's already doing that passive aggressive thing as if others are stupid and she is smart. No one really likes this.
I have to keep him focused, like...
Really?
Oh yeah!
Rachel is definitely over-eager. She's overly confrontive. When you're in a group setting, it can just really bring a lot of negativity to the group, and people don't like it.
Will you go do what you were originally going to do, which is get the sticks for the fire?
And of course, it annoys a few people right out of the gate, and then the second biggest knock against Rachel happens when both her and Dave are responsible for the tribe falling way behind because they're inept at the puzzle at the immunity challenge. Even Jeff says out loud that Rachel's help is worthless, which is so harsh. Back at camp, this becomes a big reason to want Rachel gone, as Chris, Brett, and Jessica all bring it up. Now, Rachel's competition for elimination is Dave, as he was looking for an idol and also failed on the puzzle, but Dave makes an impassioned plea to the majority while Rachel does nothing of the sort. So at Tribal Council, Rachel says, "I know I grate on people and I'm sorry about that if you feel that way." So in a 5-3 to 1-1 vote, Rachel is gone.
Rachel, the tribe has spoken.
I think the lesson learned here is to be kind to others and treat them as equal, if not better than yourself. Also, try not to be the one in charge of winning immunity, unless it's something, of course, that you're actually amazing at and you know it. Our next season is Survivor Game Changers, and with it being an all-returnee season, this changes a lot of tribe dynamics and why people want each other gone. I initially thought about skipping this season, but after watching the story take place, I realized there is still a valuable lesson here for those of us wanting to not be first boots on our own season. Plus, it's Ciera. She voted out her own mom. Why would anyone ever do that? It was her mother! So anyways, Ciera Mother Snuffer makes a cardinal sin of suggesting to target some people on day 1 when no one else is even considering this and immunity hasn't been lost yet.
Tony's played one time and he's won, so I know he's coming in extremely arrogant, and he's already pretty close with Caleb, and I am so excited to teach him a little lesson. So the options really are either get rid of him first and split the votes, or get rid of Caleb.
I don't think we can get rid of Caleb. He's too strong challenge-wise.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying if we're iffy about Tony having an idol, anything, we should just get rid of his right-hand man.
Yeah.
These are 2 people I don't want to go at all. But what I do know is the person throwing these names out is Ciera.
Ciera seems to be very, gamey. That's my gut.
But if Ciera is the one who's going to push us out of Zen mode on this tribe, makes it easy to target her early.
But that's not all, folks. She then, with the assistance of the notoriously bad challenge performer Sandra, loses immunity on the puzzle. And what is even worse is that Ciera already knew she was bad at this puzzle, as she lost it on Blood vs. Water against her mother. I see why Ciera voted her out now. Back at camp, everyone says, yeah, Ciera is going.
Ciera, I think she's probably the weakest threat we have.
She's the only person that's thrown names out.
That's where I'm at too. It's the only person who said anybody's name. She's thrown y'all's names out.
Whose name?
You two.
When you talk about game changing, you talk about Ciera. She voted her mother out. That says a lot.
And the only one throwing the only one that's throwing names out of Ciera.
Ciera, the tribe has spoken.
By the way, Ciera was ultimately right since the next few players voted out are Tony and Caleb. She just completely botched how to handle the situation, if the show is to be believed. But anyways, I think the lesson to be learned here is to keep your threat level low by not being the first to throw out names, especially before losing immunity. Next up is season 35, Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, and I gotta say, this first boot sucks. I don't mean Katrina the person, she is fine. I mean, why she gets booted just sucks. It all essentially boils down to the younger and stronger players teaming up to vote out the older mother-like women despite all the red flags from Alan, JP, and Ashley. Katrina isn't even responsible for losing immunity. That was Chrissy and Ben. So literally, the other 5 people on her tribe have a reason to be targeted, but Katrina is legitimately being voted out in a 4-2 vote for being an older lady who could be bad at challenges in the future despite being a former Olympian.
Katrina, the tribe has spoken.
So what is the lesson here? I think it's if you're older than most of your tribe, then figure out how you can appear valuable to them, like Yao Man did in season 14. Next up is season 36, Ghost Island, which sees 2 Stephanies on the same tribe. So our first boot, Stephanie Gonzalez, is referred to as Gonzalez the rest of this episode, having already lost the name battle to the other Stephanie. It is never directly addressed on the show, but I imagine having someone else with the same name could cause jealousy and does play a part in this first boot. But as I said, it's not explicitly addressed. So anyways, we see Gonzalez starting off strong by showing that she can work hard, and when her tribe loses immunity due to no fault of her own, Jacob from their tribe is sent off to Ghost Island, and let me tell you, if he didn't go to Ghost Island, where he doesn't get to go to tribal council and therefore is safe from being voted out, he would have been gone. And analyzing why he would have been gone would have been such an easy analysis. Jacob botched his game hard. But no, we have to analyze why Gonzalez goes. So here goes nothing. Here's why she's the target.
I think we visually need to set the puzzle up so where we can see all the pieces, because a lot of the pieces were flipped upside down. Maybe flipping them all so we can see all the colors.
Today, at the immunity challenge, I wanted people to get their colors together, and Gonzalez, when she comes back to camp, that was her big idea. And you know, me, I'm probably the weakest person on my tribe, but I don't want that target on me, so I'm gonna tell my tribe mates that Gonzalez should be the target.
What Gonzalez just mentioned about the puzzles, that's what I was trying to get out about looking and seeing, you know, what should go together. And she just kind of just told me to shut up, that there were so many people talking.
I don't know. This is so dumb in my opinion. Like, I understood why Katrina was targeted in the last season, though it was dumb, but at least I understood it. I do think it's interesting when the other Stephanie here is spearheading voting out Gonzalez, and here's her reasons why.
To me, getting rid of Gonzalez is about getting rid of a strategic threat, because she's got her own agenda and she's way too strong.
Jonathan or Gonzalez?
I mean, I think she's going to be a huge threat moving forward.
I do too.
But then again, she's a really strong player, and I feel like
she is, but is she?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Jonathan works harder than her.
He definitely works harder.
He works harder than her, and like, he might be good for like, if we need like a little person to shove into something.
Right.
Are we breaking out of prison or playing Survivor? When are we stuffing people into tight spaces? This is the only season in this video where I felt like I lost brain cells listening to a tribe's conversations. So at Tribal Council, unfortunately for Gonzalez, she has gone unanimously 8-1.
Gonzalez, the tribe has spoken.
Is there a lesson here? Probably. I'm sure there's more the show didn't tell us that we could have learned. If I had to think really hard about it, then maybe keep your threat level low and tell the other person who shares your name that you love them and want to do whatever they say. I guess. I'm just guessing here. So we move on to a vastly superior season in David versus Goliath. And here we see a unique situation for all the first boots in this video. Jessica is our first player voted out, but due to Pat being medically evacuated in episode 1, she is actually given 6 days with her tribe instead of the usual 2 or 3 that most first boots get. So the tribe gets to know her so much better as a result. Things start off strong for her too, as in episode 1, we see B and Carl say they like her, which is great. She does nothing egregious at all in the premiere that I can notice. In episode 2, Carl places a target on Lyrsa due to being worried about her future challenge performance, which is fair. Lyrsa hears this and doesn't like it at all, and now she wants Carl out. Great, there's no target on Jessica. However, Jessica commits a fatal flaw of losing immunity along with Christian. Now, unlike Jessica, Christian has already proved himself to be very smart, incredibly smart actually, and he did boss a puzzle in a previous episode. So Christian's good, we're not worried about Christian's future challenge performances. But anyways, back at camp, Jessica pokes the bear.
B is completely right, but in reality, we need to win challenges. So I think for this first vote that we're gonna have, I feel very comfortable in saying that Lyrsa is gonna go home.
So who are you guys voting for?
Lyrsa. I don't think anybody's wanting to talk right now because everybody's comfortable with voting for her. Yeah.
So as far as I know, the plan's to go for Lyrsa, but B and Jess kind of blew me off. And I felt like they were just saying general cliches that's like, can we talk about the vote? And that gives me weird vibes.
Their 9-person tribe is split down the middle, and she seems to be playing double agent, as Elizabeth and Lyrsa had no issues with Jessica before this.
If we get rid of Jess tonight, there's no Carl and Jess.
Really?
And there's no Jess and Bean.
Yeah.
So it would be like a double win.
Jessica, the tribe has spoken.
The lesson here, I think, is a similar one to some players past. Keep your head down and don't lose the immunity challenge. Jessica has the tightest vote out of everyone in this video when she goes 5-4. So we move on to season 38, Edge of Extinction, and this is an easy analysis, but this is also my favorite person in this video, Reem Daly. It's so simple, but let's walk through it. Basically, she's confrontational, does things people do not want without asking, and she is clearly one of those people that when you get to know them, you love them, but their first impression can be bad. Reem is not responsible for them losing immunity, but like Katrina before her, she is seen as an older mom who might hold them back in future challenges.
Clothes on the beach. I put everything on the beach. Sweet. These are yours? Dry.
She keeps like moving my... Like, I'm just grabbing all my stuff like that. I just like get it out.
I know.
Reem is so sweet and just this like super helpful mom, but I think some people are like, stop moving my stuff.
They want to vote her off. They want to vote me off? When you hear your names out there, it's like, screw you, dude. Just because I didn't go like power lift before I showed up, like they're idiots. I am so strong. You don't even know this old lady, bro. This old lady can kill it. But I'm not done. I'm scrappy, dude. I'm not going down without a fight. I didn't leave everything to go down like that. Screw that, man.
Reem even calls this out tribal by saying this is age discrimination, which is factual, but I think people would overlook that if she connected with others, and what we see is that she connects with Wendy and Keith, but not the majority group. It is ultimately silly, and with this season's twist, which is a secret to everyone at this time in the show, we do get to see her all season long. But yeah, Reem just needs to not touch other people's stuff and be kinder out of the gate. Lesson learned for us all.
Reem, the tribe has spoken.
Thanks.
Our next season is 39, Island of the Idols, and if you're tired of only women being first boots in this video, then prepare your butt. Things are about to shift a bit. Here we learn an important lesson from Ronnie's failure, one that is very much applicable and happens far too often than pre-jury, just not usually to the first boot. On his tribe, Laro, there is Elaine, one of the most lovable people you'll meet, who is not a challenge beast but can clearly hold her own. She's country strong, aka she's a valuable tribe member who you don't want in the final 3, but you're definitely not going to remove her early. Well, Ronnie is way ahead of everyone as he tries to make an alliance that will eliminate Elaine, and Missy kind of snitches on him.
I can see that Elaine is extremely likable. She's super fun, and I like Elaine, but that could be dangerous because somebody like Elaine from a town from the middle of nowhere of Kentucky who has had hardship her whole life, who works in a factory, sounds like a clear winner to me. If she's at Final Tribal Council and she's gotten that far with that story, they're gonna award her $1 million.
I literally knew from the minute that I had the conversation with Ronnie, I knew that me and him was like this. I knew it in my gut. He is a weasel, and he's somebody who I find a little shady. So I don't trust Ronnie. So to me, he has to go.
This is day 1 or 2, just like chill, dude. Ronnie's worried about the endgame and they haven't even been to one immunity challenge yet, let alone a tribal council. He says he prides himself as a poker player who sits back and observes, and he is right in his observation of Elaine. I won't argue with him, but the way he plays his hand is all wrong. So when they do lose immunity, everyone says they don't trust Ronnie. He is targeting the tribe's favorite person, and at tribal council, Elaine gives an impassioned, emotional speech that says, "Guys, just give me a chance. Voting her out would be heartbreaking," so they don't.
Ronnie, the tribe has spoken.
What is the lesson here? Don't target everyone's favorite person this early in the game. Don't be focusing on the end game during day 1. So I considered doing season 40 Winners at War, and don't worry, I'm not going to show any footage of that season, but the first boot of Winners at War, in my opinion, has nothing to teach us, and the fact that everyone made their decision with the edge of extinction being factored in is not helpful. So thankfully, season 41 has 2 first boots to make up for it, Abraham and Sara, because 2 separate tribes get to vote out their first player on the same night. I have to say, with these 2 boots, information is missing from the premiere. Now I know we are truly never getting the full story for any first boot and why they are going, but this premiere does a terrible job of clearly communicating why both players are getting voted out. There's too much other nonsense going on that I guess the show just doesn't have time. So let's start with Abraham. Basically, he wants to vote out Tiffany from his tribe for being bad at challenges, but all the women fear that the men will pick them off if they keep losing, so they get rid of Abraham in a 5-1 vote.
Abraham, tribe has spoken.
I only know that is why he goes, because later episodes have to flesh out the women are targeting the men. This season's a mess. So his is straightforward, and I think the only lesson here is to be cognizant of what everyone wants, as Xander and Voce were fine with voting out Abraham, and if Abraham had been open to voting out Xander or Voce, he could have stood a better chance, because clearly all the men weren't going to unite against the women. That's what we learned. Sara's boot, on the other hand, is so confusing. Now, unlike Abraham, she is responsible for the immunity loss alongside Shan, but somehow, despite JD constantly doing things that say I am untrustworthy, vote me out, JD is only considered by Sara and Ricard's is fleeting. JD should be the first boot here, no questions asked, but he gets in good with Shan and Brad, so good on him. I have watched and rewatched this, and nothing on the show makes it clear why Sara goes over Jeannie, JD, or Brad. Nothing at all. Shan and Ricard are running the show, so by default they're safe here. But Sara, your guess is as good as mine.
Sara, tribe has spoken.
I don't have a lesson for her boot, as I don't understand why it was her based on what the show tells us, but I am open to what you all think. Last but not least is season 42 with Zach from the Ika tribe as the first player voted out. This one is fairly straightforward, thankfully. Zach is a skinny guy, and inherently this makes him perceived as weak. He does connect with Tori and Romeo, but at the immunity challenge, here we go, he loses on the puzzle while also holding them back on the physical portion. He is a huge challenge liability. Even back at camp, he takes full responsibility for their loss, and people are like, yeah, I think we have to get rid of Zach.
I would still feel better getting Zach out. Yeah. Okay. I'm pushing for Zach to go home because my puzzle partner, Zach, was 1, slower at the puzzle than me, even though he was supposed to be our main puzzle person, and then 2, just kind of gave up during the challenge.
I don't want this whole buzzing around, boom, boom, boom at tribal. No.
Okay.
There is a weak link, and that weak link is Zach.
Zach, the tribe has spoken.
So the lesson here is simple: don't suck at the immunity challenge. Be physically prepared. So with that, here are a couple basic truths I found across this wide array of first boots. Number 1 is do not be responsible for the immunity loss. This affects 5 out of the 10 boots on this list. Number 2 is keep your head down and get good with the majority of the group. Perception is reality for people. Everyone's coming in with pros and cons attached to them, whether they like it or not. And if you're going to annoy people or target them when you could be keeping your mouth shut, then I suggest being quiet, and that goes for me too. I would have this same issue. It's easier said than done, but just go with the flow in the beginning. Those are the 2 biggest lessons I got out of this. There are of course smaller lessons you can see with some of the first boots, but those 2 seem to be consistently true in most modern Survivor seasons. And if you're wondering about the entire course of Survivor history in terms of how many men and how many women have been first boots, we have 27 women first boots and 17 men, so a little unbalanced. So what ideas do you have to avoid being a first boot? Comment below and let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.